For years, Mobile Legends esports felt like it had one unwritten rule. If you wanted to lift the biggest international trophy, you had to come from Southeast Asia. The Philippines and Indonesia built dynasties, shaped the metas, and turned international championships into their own battleground. Every other region was chasing, hoping, and failing just short. But MSC 2026 changed that story forever. So, what does it mean now that Western teams have finally broken through and claimed an official international MLBB title? Has the balance of power finally shifted? Welcome back to Mobile Legends News. Since the earliest days of Mobile Legends esports, Southeast Asia has been the undisputed center of competitive excellence. Organizations from the Philippines and Indonesia consistently won the game's biggest international tournaments, while other regions struggled to match their experience, infrastructure, and depth of talent. That long-standing trend finally came to an end at MSC 2026, where Team Spirit made history by becoming the first team from outside Southeast Asia to win an official MLBB International Championship. Their victory wasn't just another tournament result. It may represent one of the most significant moments in the history of MLBB esports, signaling that the global competitive landscape has truly entered a new era. To understand why Team Spirit's championship means so much, you first have to understand the history they were trying to overcome. For nearly a decade, the international Mobile Legends scene revolved around one expectation: Southeast Asia would always come out on top. It wasn't just because Southeast Asia had won most tournaments, it was because the region had built an ecosystem that every other region was trying to catch. The Philippines consistently produced world-class mechanical talent, Indonesia developed some of the largest esports organizations in the game, and regional leagues became increasingly competitive, forcing teams to improve every single season just to qualify for international events. As a result, every major international tournament usually followed a familiar pattern. Teams from Europe, North America, the Middle East, Central Asia, Latin America, and other emerging regions would arrive with high expectations after dominating their local competition. They would often surprise everyone in the group stage, occasionally eliminate a respected favorite, and prove they deserve to be there. But when the tournament reached its most important matches, Southeast Asia almost always found another level. That created a perception that became increasingly difficult to ignore. Many fans began believing there was a difference between being internationally competitive and being capable of becoming an international champion. Plenty of non-Southeast Asian teams were respected. They could upset favorites. They could take games off of world-class opponents. Some even reached deep playoff runs, but when the pressure reached its highest point, the trophy always stayed in Southeast Asia. Whether that belief was completely fair or not, history certainly supported it. Every international tournament reinforced the same narrative. Southeast Asia wasn't simply stronger. It was viewed as the standard that everyone else had to measure themselves against. That is exactly why Team Spirit's victory carries so much historical weight. This wasn't simply another upset. It wasn't a Cinderella run that ended in second place. It wasn't another good showing from an emerging region. They finished the job. That distinction changes everything. Once a barrier like this is broken, it becomes much harder to argue that it can never happen again. Instead of asking whether a Western team can win internationally, the conversation now shifts towards which team might be next. The timing of this breakthrough also makes perfect sense when viewed alongside the evolution of the MLBB esports ecosystem. Leading into MSC 2026, Moonton Games introduced the biggest structural changes the competitive scene had ever experienced throughout the expansion of the MLBB Champions Tournament, or the MCT ecosystem. Rather than concentrating the highest level of competition within only a few established regions, the new system created more official regional pathways, allowing teams from across the world to qualify through increasingly competitive local leagues. That matters because sustainable international success isn't created by a single lucky tournament. It comes from repeated exposure to stronger competition. When more regions receive structured leagues, consistent seasonal play, and meaningful qualification opportunities, organizations have stronger incentives to invest in coaching staffs, analysts, player development, and long-term infrastructure. Players gain experience under pressure instead of relying on isolated international appearances once or twice a year. Over time, those investments begin narrowing the competitive gap. MSC 2026 became the first true showcase of what that global investment could produce. Instead of a tournament where a handful of regions were expected to dominate from the opening day, the field featured representatives from a much broader competitive landscape. Every qualified team had survived increasingly demanding regional competition before even arriving at the international stage. That depth made the tournament significantly less predictable. Another factor was where the tournament itself took place. MSC 2026 marked the first time an official international MLBB tournament of this scale was hosted in Europe. While championships are ultimately decided inside the game, bringing the event to a new region symbolized something much larger than geography. It demonstrated that Mobile Legends had evolved beyond being viewed primarily as a Southeast Asian esport. Hosting one of the game's biggest tournaments in Europe reflected Moonton's continued investment in building a genuinely global competitive ecosystem. It also gave fans across new markets an opportunity to experience elite MLBB competition on home soil, helping strengthen local communities and inspire the next generation of professional players. That wider international visibility matters because esports ecosystems grow through inspiration as much as infrastructure. Young players watching a championship held in their own region are more likely to believe that becoming a professional is realistic. Local organizations become more willing to invest. Sponsors become more interested. Regional leagues become stronger. And those improvements eventually feed back into international competition. Team Spirit's championship could become the defining success story that accelerates that process. Instead of representing an exception, they became proof that the pathway now truly exists. Perhaps the biggest takeaway, however, is psychological. Competitive barriers often survive long after the actual skill gap has disappeared. For years, teams outside Southeast Asia entered international events carrying the weight of history. Even when they believed they could compete mechanically, there was always the lingering question of whether anyone could actually defeat the region that had dominated every previous era. That mental hurdle is now gone. Future teams from Europe, the CIS region, North America, Latin America, the Middle East, East Asia, and beyond will enter international tournaments knowing that someone has already done it. History is no longer standing in their way. Instead of chasing something that had never happened before, they are chasing something that has already been proven possible. Ironically, Team Spirit's victory may even make Southeast Asia stronger in the long run. The region can no longer rely on historical dominance or reputation alone. Every organization now knows that international rivals have caught up faster than many expected. Preparation, drafting, coaching, adaptation, and player development will become even more important because every region now has tangible evidence that the championship is genuinely within reach. That increased competition benefits everyone. Fans get more unpredictable tournaments, organizations are pushed to innovate, players face tougher opponents throughout the season, and every international championship becomes far more difficult to predict than ever before. In many ways, Team Spirit didn't just win MSC 2026. They helped end one of the oldest assumptions in Mobile Legends esports, that only Southeast Asia could stand on top of the world. Now, every region has proof that the impossible has already happened. And that may be the biggest victory of all. Team Spirit's MSC 2026 Championship may ultimately be remembered as the moment international Mobile Legends truly entered a new era. For years, the highest level of MLBB esports belonged almost exclusively to Southeast Asia. But that narrative has finally been broken. While Southeast Asia remains one of the strongest and deepest competitive regions in the world, the global gap has clearly narrowed. What once felt like an untouchable throne now looks genuinely contested, making every future international tournament more competitive, more unpredictable, and more exciting than ever before. Now, I want to hear from you. What do you think? Was Team Spirit's historic MSC 2026 victory the beginning of a brand new era for international Mobile Legends? Or was it simply an incredible one-time breakthrough? Let us know in the comments and tell us which region do you believe is most likely to produce the next non-Southeast Asian international champion. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more Mobile Legends news. Till next time!